Hello and welcome to the NICU Space podcast by Miracle Moon. I'm Dr. Frankie Harrison, a clinical psychologist and NICU parent myself. Through my work as a psychologist and through my own experience of having a baby in neonatal care, I know that the NICU journey can leave a huge emotional impact on parents and families. This podcast is a space where we talk honestly about that experience. We will be exploring the emotional impact of neonatal care, the anxiety, the guilt, the grief, the questions about bonding and identity, the parts of the experience that so many parents carry long after leaving the hospital. Across the series, I'll be speaking with other NICU parents at different stages of their journey, as well as professionals working in the field. We want you to feel seen, understood, and less alone in what you've been through. So whether you are currently sitting beside an incubator, recently home from NICU, years down the line still making sense of it all, or someone supporting a NICU family, you are very welcome here. What you have been through matters, and you do not have to carry it on your own. Before we begin, just a quick note that this podcast is for information and support, but it is not a substitute for individual medical or psychological care. Now, let's get into today's episode. Hello, and welcome to the NICU Space podcast. Today, I have got the pleasure of speaking to Helena Morais, who is a bereaved mother and mother of two. So in this episode, we are making space for Helena to talk about her daughter Maila, who died just before birth at 36 weeks and 5 days. It's an emotional episode, and it's an episode where we want to talk about the experience of loss in a way that allows other people to feel validated and connected if they have also experienced loss. So we have important conversations about bereavement and how to carry on parenting your child when they are no longer here, how to stay connected, what that period of time looks like when you're in shock, and the things that you can do to be able to be with your child just after they have died. So Helena talks about navigating grief and how she created Maila's Present, which are personalized storybooks, which are designed to help families honor their babies and hold on to their memories. Today, she is a writer, speaker, and educator who is committed to changing the narrative and humanizing baby bereavement to improving the aftercare and supporting families. She also hosts the podcast Remember Me, the stories of our babies, which are dedicated to remembering all of those babies who are gone too soon. She does incredible work, and I'm really looking forward to talking about it today. It's a really powerful and really important episode. So let's get started. Hello, how are you doing?
Hello, I'm doing good. Thank you. Thank you very much. How are you?
Yes, I'm all right. I'm okay, thank you. For everybody who is watching, we were just saying how incredible your background is.
Oh, yes.
Incredibly bold.
My parents' bedroom.
Yeah, absolutely love it. I'm really, really looking forward to talking to you today. So, I mean, I've followed you on socials for a while now, and I saw you speaking at the Black Maternal Mental Health event, and just think you're incredibly inspiring to be doing what you're doing with everything that you've been through. And there's so many different avenues and things like that in which you're trying to create change and support people. So thank you for doing that. And thank you for joining us today.
Thank you. I really appreciate that. And likewise to you, like the voices that you bring to the surface that don't often get spoken about, and the realities of the experience of the NICU is just so important. And thank you.
No, thank you. So, I mean, I would love to just open the conversation up, and I would love to ask you about your story in whatever way that you feel happy to kind of share with us, if that feels okay.
Yeah, absolutely. So I am Maila Angela Helena Morais' mom. She was my firstborn daughter. I was pregnant with her. I found out actually, oh my gosh, what's the date? Yeah, I found out tomorrow.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, 4 years ago now in 2020.
Wow.
Oh, it was such a beautiful day as well because it was my friend's birthday and
Mm.
we went to play rounders in the park, which he's actually doing again this year.
Mm.
And I do want to go. And it was just such a brilliant day. Like I don't know if everyone shares this feeling. Well, not many people, because obviously it depends the situation around pregnancy, right?
Yeah.
When it's a wanted pregnancy, I felt so invincible. I literally felt like I was glowing. I felt like the
Mm,
sun, right?
really?
Like I'm holding the sun inside of me and I'm just glowing and oozing this light. And I
Mm,
was looking at people around me playing their rounders and I thought, oh, I'm not going to play my rounders because, I'm so delicate and
hmm
fragile, whatever. And I was looking at everyone, I was like, oh my God, right now I have a superpower. I am
mm,
carrying life. Like it just felt so incredibly beautiful. It was a very good pregnancy. I had
hmm
no scares at all. It was just, I mean, I think the only massive scare at the time was when I had round ligament pain
mm.
and I thought like appendicitis or something. I was just
Oh,
crying about it at 18 weeks. And I mean, the sadness about pregnancy, I think, is when you do have something serious or some concerns and you're in like the earlier stages of the gestation, you're not taken that seriously. So I
yeah.
remember going to triage expecting to be like, oh my gosh, what's happening here? But it was like, oh, I'll just go to A&E.
Yeah.
A&E, like I'm just going to sit here with these people who are not pregnant. I don't know what's going on with my body. And it's just so sad. And it even makes me think about the amount of women who experience losses in those moments right at A&E, sitting there just waiting to be seen.
Yeah.
So yeah, my pregnancy was really, really beautiful. I had the rose tinted colored glasses throughout it. I was doing what's the name of that app? The Positive Pregnancy
Positive
Birth
Birth
from
Company.
Miller. Positive Birth, that's
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
Yes. Oh my goodness. I ate that up. I
Yeah.
couldn't wait to have my water birth. I did the breathing. I did every single thing. I
Wow.
was so certain that I would have a brilliant experience because why not?
Yeah.
And I remember throughout my pregnancy, I did get told about like statistics. And there was one thing that a friend of mine gave me, which was like a resource from 5 times more.
Yeah.
And I remember looking at that. And obviously it scared me, right? And so I said, I decided that I'm not going to be a statistic. And so I thought, let me not even look at it,
Right.
which I really think is such a big mistake, right? I think
Mm.
looking back, I'm just like, how can you say that you're not going to be a statistic if you don't know what you're going to be a statistic of because you're not even reading what the statistics are, right?
Yeah. Was that a
So
kind of like a not wanting to will it in, or was it an
yes,
avoidance thing? Yeah, not wanting to will it
it's
in
that
thing. Yeah.
both of those things.
Yeah.
It's both of those things, and I think that's the rhetoric and culture around pregnancy kind of caters to that. And I wish
Yeah.
the conversation around it was like, actually, no, want educate yourself, want to be more informed. It should be like that, right? So that you're welcoming and you're not taking it as a fear factor or that thinking about something is going to make your baby die or things like that, right? So immediately I stopped myself from getting certain valuable information that could have potentially, I don't know whether it would have saved my daughter's life, but who it was valuable information.
Mm.
If it exists, there's a reason why it exists. So I didn't do it. But I did everything else in terms of like the research that I thought I needed to know.
Yeah.
And everything I learned was from an app. It was from the What to Expect app. I
Mhm.
would ask questions in my appointments, but it never really felt like I was getting an answer. Everything was always like rushed.
Yeah.
And the key point in my pregnancy was the protein in my urine. And I remember it like it was yesterday. I was 10
Mm.
weeks and I was on a family trip around Parliament. It wasn't Parliament Square, the Palace. I
Oh,
took
okay.
my cousin to the Palace because he came down on holiday and stuff. And I got a text and it said, "You've got protein in your urine." And I remember looking at my other cousin like, "What does that mean? Like, what's protein in your urine?"
Mm.
So I Googled it, didn't really understand. So then I thought, let me just ask in my next appointment. And I remember asking, and it was just sort of brushed off. Oh, don't worry, just do another test. So I did about 3 different tests until by the third, it came out as no more protein. But I always say this, it's like, just tell us what it is. Like it could have
Yeah.
amounted to nothing, but it did amount to something, right?
Mm.
Oh, it's so frustrating. And
Mm.
yeah, so I pretty much, frankly, went through that whole pregnancy just living my best life,
Yeah.
living my best life. Wouldn't have imagined anything would happen to me. The only time I found out about preeclampsia was again on the What to Expect app, and it said it could happen to you like around 20 weeks or in late pregnancy, but it's so rare. And I was like, if it's rare, why would it be me
Yeah.
again?
Yeah.
So I didn't really read too much into it. And it was until the day that I went into labor. And again, I was 36 weeks and 5 days, and 36
Mm,
weeks is considered premature.
mm,
Also, something I didn't know, I thought she was right in the cusp because it's just a few days until 37 weeks.
yeah.
So instead of me calling straight away and be like, oh, or not even calling, but going straight in, I remember what I was told. I was taught to wait until your contractions are closer together.
Right.
You go in. And so I just waited. I waited. I was doing my exercises, my yoga, listening to the Freya app, doing my breathing, listening to music. It felt zen. And even the contractions, I was like, oh, is this what people are talking about? Like, it's actually not that bad.
Mm,
And so, and then I started vomiting a lot, actually, which I
okay.
never vomited throughout the pregnancy. And I thought that must have been something. I did flag that up.
Okay.
But and then I Googled it, and then Google said, oh, yeah, it could be normal to vomit during labor. So I was like, okay, fine.
Okay.
And there was like a weird, I can't even say that there was a nagging feeling at the back of my head. There wasn't. It's like there kind of was, but also was there. I feel like
Yeah.
that could
In
have regarded
retrospect.
anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, it was from there then that we waited. So I waited all that time until it got a bit closer. Then my waters broke. And that's when we went to the hospital. And I knew, oh, I can't have my water birth. That's out of the window.
Mm,
But again, normal. I wasn't thinking about anything. I wasn't checking whether she was moving or not, which of course would have told. I didn't even recognize that you should be looking out for movement during labor.
mm,
But literally from the moment we got into the hospital, gave our notes, my partner was like acting all frantic, and I was like, calm down. And it was when, the midwife checked for her heartbeat that she was taking a very long time. And she
mm.
said, I can only seem to hear your heartbeat.
Okay.
And I was so exhausted from the contractions that to me, it was like, oh, okay, maybe she just can't hear it.
Yeah.
But she was like, hold on a moment, I'm just going to call some doctors. And then instantly the room flooded in. For me, it felt like 10 people. It probably was less than that.
Mm,
We were taken straight up to labor ward, from triage to labor ward. And they got the ultrasound machine, and it was just like utter silence.
mm,
They were so quiet for so long, and I was thinking, what's going on? And so I asked them, where's my baby? And that's when they said, I'm so sorry, but your baby didn't make it. And
mm.
then honestly, I just remember becoming so numb.
Yeah.
And then I said to myself, of course this would happen to me. Of course it would happen to me. Like, I'm so unlucky. The unlucky
Mm,
thing that happened would happen to me. If there's anyone it was going to happen to, it was me.
yeah.
And I was telling you earlier that I went to the film that Alicia put together with a lady called Lenina.
Mm,
And someone in that film said something that literally broke me. And
mm,
she said, I felt ashamed that I thought I could have a positive pregnancy. She literally said, as a Black woman, knowing the statistics that I know, I feel ashamed that I thought I would actually be able to do it. And that
oh,
hit me so much because that's how I felt. I felt like, of course, like what else did I expect?
yeah.
And honestly, it was just really, really horrible.
Yeah.
I detached. I couldn't look at my child. I was just like, yeah, I'm not a mum anymore. So
Okay.
that's it. All of that for nothing.
Yeah.
Um, Told my mum, yeah, I made a child to throw in the bin.
Okay.
And yeah, that's pretty much what happened at that point. Yeah.
So in that moment, it was kind of like walls felt like they kind of went up. It was like just that kind of detached feeling. It was then all of that kind of self-blame that felt like it kicked in at that moment.
Mm.
Did you feel like you could voice any of that, or did you feel supported in any kind of way around that?
No, I had no words. I had no words. I
Mm,
think my mom actually reminded me the other day, and I don't remember this at all, but she was saying, I kept saying, what the fuck? What the fuck? Shit, what the fuck? I don't remember that.
no.
But that was literally all I was saying, she said.
Yeah.
And it's a good point that you ask me that, because one of the things that I often talk about in some of the training that I do is like, how do you ensure that you are guiding parents in that moment if you're
Yeah.
midwives in that moment? Because for me, one of the things that's very important is to make sure that parents have bonding time with their children, right? And from the
Mm-hmm.
moment that I attached, I wish that instead of them just constantly asking me if I wanted to see her, I wish they asked me if I had any questions, which I don't know if I would have had or how I would have voiced my questions. But most importantly, made me understand why I should see her, perhaps, like plant those seeds, let me know what is the norm in this situation. Because asking me if I want to see my child in that moment where I see her as trauma and tragedy is the same as asking someone if they want to step back into the car wreck that they just came out of.
Yeah.
I wasn't seeing my baby as a baby. So I wish I had support in seeing her as a baby, which probably would have taken some time. It
Mm-hmm.
wouldn't have happened straight away. But I do feel like there's ways that you can voice that
Yeah.
and support parents, or just tell them, look, this is how some parents bond with their baby. You have a choice. You can change your mind. You can ask me again. Just plant those seeds.
Yeah.
And then with time,
Mm.
but yeah, I left that hospital without so much as touching her.
Okay.
I couldn't do it.
Did you get the opportunity at any other point? Or
So I'm so grateful that one of the midwives must have said, when I was getting discharged, oh, join a Facebook group.
okay.
So I remember that day leaving the hospital. I think it was the 2nd of January or the 1st of January, one of those two. Everything was still closed. And we're driving back home to my parents' house, actually. It's like early morning. And I was just like, yeah, let me just join these Facebook groups. So I
Yeah.
joined one and I posted, I've just left the hospital. I don't know what to do. Help. And instantly a flood of moms like messaging me. And then one mom all the way from America, she said, so did you take pictures with your daughter? And I was like, what? Like, why on earth would I do that? Like, she didn't make it. Why would I do that? And she just simply said that was the best thing that I could have done for herself, right?
Yeah.
She didn't shame me, she didn't judge me for my choice. She just spoke about her experience. That was the best thing she could have done.
Mm.
That was all I needed.
Okay.
That was the seeds that I was like, hold on a minute. This is my child. I
Mm.
am like, I held her for this many months. It doesn't even matter how many months I had held her. She's my child from the moment I conceived her, right?
Mm.
And so then I started scrolling on that Facebook group and seeing all these pictures. There were parents who got dressed up, the whole family dressed up, like even the younger kids dressed up to take a picture with their baby.
Mm.
And so I was like, no, 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 I need to go back. And
Okay.
I'm so great. Like when I tell you that was the best decision,
Yeah.
yeah, I'm so grateful I did that. So in a sense, that midwife saying that
Mm.
this exists did help, but really and truly, there should have been more done to facilitate the moments that I was in the hospital. Because
Yeah.
now I had left. And when I went back to see her, I only had like a few hours, where I'd spent 5 days in the hospital and I could have spent those 5 days bonding, holding moments that I'll never get back. And
Yeah.
finding out all memory makers like a lock of hair, which I don't have.
Mm.
She had so much hair. So it's like, I wish I had the time.
Completely. So it's about knowing, planting the seeds of what you can do and how you can, you, within that experience, what you can do. I also wonder that as a psychologist, I think that there's like a nervous system piece here of being
Mm,
able to speak to the fact that, hey, if you're feeling a bit detached, a bit numb, that's really normal. Like it's a
mm,
survival response in this,
yeah.
because there will be, like, in that moment, it's like, of course, it was way too overwhelming and it was too much for your nervous system to kind of handle. So it went shut down. And I bet that there are so many people who experience the same thing. And if there was support around that to just be like, it's really normal to have this feeling, it will pass. But these are the things that we can do to try and help you with that
Yeah.
feeling, you know?
Yes. It's as simple as that. It's just down to a conversation, acknowledging and validating what's happening
Yeah.
around the parent. And then letting them know that there is things that they can do in that
Yeah.
moment. And if
Yeah.
they choose not to, that's fine, but give us the information.
Yeah. Yeah.
There was a study I was reading in America. I think, I can't remember the year. I want to say 2008. I
Mm.
might be wrong. But they looked at around 300 parents who had not seen their baby after they were stillborn. And 80% of them regretted it. And they
Mm.
said that the reason why they didn't spend time with their babies because they also didn't know, like they didn't have the informed choice. They didn't know they could.
Right.
What was going on through my head as well is like, I thought she was going to look not human,
Right.
and so there was also that fear
Mm.
of what am I going to see. So preparing parents and letting them know your baby might have black lips, their skin might be a little bit bruised, there might be some peeling, but they still look like this or look like that,
Yeah. Yeah.
it really does go a long way to be able to set those expectations.
Yeah. Completely. You you spoke a little bit about the leaflet that you got from times more, and that you didn't read it in that moment. Did you feel like race came into play within your experience that had an impact on maybe the way that you were treated or listened to, or in any kind of way?
In terms of how I was listened, not necessarily. I feel like I
Okay.
was treated, fairly enough. The only thing that I do feel like impacted me is the fact that only now, right, looking
Yeah.
back in hindsight, is learning how preeclampsia is something that's very common within the Black community, 6 times more likely. And I
Right.
just feel like not offering that information as a standard, as a set off from a pregnancy, is already setting us back. Right,
Mm.
knowing that there are conditions that might affect women of a certain race and not letting them know.
Yes.
Do you know what I mean? I feel like it was almost like there was already something set up against me before I even knew
Mm.
there was. So yeah, I feel like the lack of either, I wouldn't say the lack of awareness around what affects us, because obviously there is that awareness, but the lack of transparency and the lack of giving that information to the people that need to hear it.
Okay. So you developed preeclampsia because you spoke about the protein in your urine kind of early on, but you developed the preeclampsia yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you didn't know that that's what, no?
No, I
Okay.
did have I had swollen like legs and feet. My mom mentioned that. And I
Mm.
said to her, but it's not normal. Like, that's what they
Mm.
say, right? I had obviously the protein. I don't remember if the protein, and here's another thing, right?
Mm.
They also don't really tell you, like when you go in your appointments, unless it's probably something that's, I don't know. I don't know what the bar is set for them, but
Mm.
they don't tell you. So for instance, I only found out after having my son that my blood pressure was actually really high throughout my pregnancy with my daughter. And the only reason why I found out was because obviously having him, there was more, I had a consultant, there was more precautions. I was checking my own blood pressure. I had a
Yeah.
blood pressure at home. And whenever it got high, I was like, yep, I'm going in. So much so that I ended up having an induction to have him at 37 weeks because my blood pressure started getting high again.
Right.
But I remember one of the times where I had gone in because I checked my own blood pressure. The midwife said to me, "So have you always had really high blood pressure?" And I said, "No, just at the end of my last pregnancy," because that's what I thought, right,
Right.
had happened. But she was like, "Oh, no, it seems like you had high blood pressure throughout your pregnancy."
Oh gosh. And you just weren't told?
No, absolutely not.
Okay.
And I'm not going to lie to you, I now work in that same space. And I recently spoke to a woman and it was really frustrating me because she was saying that her blood pressure was crazy high and she was being monitored, but it wasn't always being written down. And so she was going to be discharged based on the results that are not accurate. But she's a lawyer, so she was writing everything down, right? So she knows how to
Yeah.
advocate for it. Imagine someone like myself who I pretty much gave my pregnancy and left it in their hands. I thought they know they have the power or they have the knowledge.
Yeah.
How about women that don't speak English? How about women that are neurodivergent? Like there are just so many layers to this. And it's so frustrating. I don't know what it is. Like, is there not enough education around? I don't know, to be honest. I just don't know.
No, I know, and I think because I had pre-eclampsia as well, and I wasn't told that that was what it was. Like right up until the last minute, I wasn't really told why they were monitoring me. I was in HDU, I was in high dependency, and I didn't know why. I thought I was in there because there wasn't enough beds in the other maternity. Like,
Right.
I just don't think that that communication is there. Whether they think that someone else has done it, or I don't really know. I think it's just and then you do that bit of beating yourself up that you didn't know. But how are you supposed to know?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I think
Oh,
I think there's so much within your story that is so important. And I know we were speaking like before starting, and one of the things that you said that you feel like is coming up a lot at the moment that is important to talk about is the financial part of it.
mm.
So can you tell me a little bit more about the kind of financial strain and what you're kind of thinking around that?
Yeah. After so after losing Mila,
Um,
it became very hard to go back to work. I was so grateful that I was in maternity leave, but of course, maternity leave money isn't great money. But I didn't mind being a bit of a hermit and staying in my own space and stuff. And I did eventually end up going back to work, but I just couldn't do it. Like
yeah.
memory loss. As we know, with pregnancy, your memory is already a little bit jaded. When you go into motherhood, memory is jaded. Then you're adding grief on top of that. So I wasn't in the same agility that I was before I had gotten pregnant
Mm,
anyway.
mm,
Feeling, I mean, one of my colleagues was pregnant when I returned as well. But by the time that I had returned, I was already pregnant with my son, and I think I had already given birth to him. So
okay.
within that like year of maternity leave, I had my son very quickly because it was
Okay.
really hard to go home empty arms. Like it was just really difficult for me.
Yeah.
So going back and being around someone who's pregnant was so hard, like sitting there. Oh, I don't even know how I did it. And I think if I had gone back without a child at all,
Yeah.
I probably wouldn't stayed as long as I did. So then I left my workplace
Okay.
to do something that's a little bit more aligned. So this kind of work, maternity work, and I have been doing it. But then again, it's not like consistent work. I only work 1.5 days as an MNVP. I'm trying to find some roles educating, but not many people want to pay for the things that I'm talking about, especially universities. But outside of me attempting to find work is the gap where you cannot go to work. It is so hard, and so many parents really, really struggle. And they are going to work, but then they call in sick, and how much money they lose within that. And the national statistics actually, I think it was last year or this year, have actually stated that have coined this as the pregnancy loss penalty, where it's up to £13,000 in within 5 years.
Wow.
13, right? Let's say 13. I feel like I probably have definitely lost more because I outright quit my job.
Yeah.
And then there's that thing where there are parents out here who are doing a lot of work for the community, and community spaces necessary, like organizations, not parents. I'm not saying
Mm,
parents,
mm.
but universities, like what I was saying, they say they do not have the budget to pay for this. So they just expect you to get your own funding, do some fundraising. But you should have the budget for this. Like, this is such important work because
Yeah.
otherwise, who is educating you on bereavement literacy? You are causing further harm to families, right? By not knowing how to support them and guide them in that moment.
Mm,
What I went through is nearly as half of the things that I have heard from other women. Like, words that have been so damaging,
yeah.
and they think it's not worth being educated on. Why isn't it a whole module?
Oh, I completely,
So,
completely. I think there's so much around loss, around neonatal care, around like all of these things that maybe people. I feel like there's maybe like a fear in talking to it, or they kind of go like, "Oh, it's rare," or something about it. But it's like, well, no, it's not. And for
yeah,
the people who it are impacted by it, it has such a huge impact that could be minimized by very little, actually, in terms of the things that are said and what is done to be able to support someone that doesn't take loads and loads of money to be able to do those things, right? Did you know that the NICU Space is more than just this podcast? We also run an online community created specifically for NICU parents, whether your baby is currently in neonatal care or your NICU experience happened months or even years ago. Inside the community, you'll find specialist guidance from professionals who understand NICU, resources and coping tools to help with the emotional impact, and most importantly, connection with other parents who really get it. For many parents, it becomes a place where they can finally talk about their NICU experience with people who understand without needing an explanation. If this sounds like something that would support you, you can find out more information in the show notes. Let's get back to the episode.
Absolutely. And it actually costs more for them not to be putting in the work, because then people are going to file legal cases because they have been harmed and
True.
all sorts of things. So why wouldn't you invest initially on giving adequate education? And honestly, training whilst you're already in the job, like midwifery, as it sounds, as by the sounds of it, and I've seen it myself, is so exhausting. Who really has time to be doing training when it should have been done before you even get into the role?
Yeah, no, I know completely. I really, really hope that, and I know you posted something on LinkedIn the other day about not feeling like you were getting that support or that take up or getting paid from like universities, but you found that there was a community of professionals who were supportive and wanted to learn, and that was doulas. Yeah. So is there something about the people that you're talking to within that space that feels more open? They want to know how to support the people that they're supporting?
I often feel like if you're going into becoming a doula, you always have a more holistic approach,
Yeah.
a more human approach. I feel like in midwifery, even if you do come with like, I want to be supporting people in this particular way, I just feel like the way that the structure is made kind of just makes it so much more clinical and gets the human side. So doulas are often so given, and they think of the person as a whole, and they offer you personalized care. I've been to 2 different doula spaces, and one of them, there was literally like food. There was no, I'm not asking universities to feed me, by the way,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
there was like cake. There was like amazing,
Nurture.
just everything. Such a great vibe. Yeah,
Yeah.
and we sat in a circle. It was just so wholesome. And then another one was actually done online, and even I wouldn't think that online would give such a, I don't know, like nurturing, but it really, and it wasn't even that many of us, but I felt held in that space, and the way that they were communicating with me, asking further questions. I was even learning lots of things from the questions that they were asking me, and the thoughts that they were sharing with me as well. It's like a reciprocity, even just in the conversation, like we're both learning from each other.
Yeah.
And I just think it's really beautiful.
Yeah.
So,
It's how it should be, isn't it?
yeah.
Absolutely. I wanted to talk to you a little bit about what you have done as a result of this experience and continuing to parent Maila, everything that you are doing within her legacy. So there's different bits that you have done over the years. So there's Maila's present. Yeah. Will you tell us a little bit about that?
Yes. So it started off with personalized storybooks, and I get the idea from Wonderbly. So when my son was born, I was I didn't want the world just to see me as just his mom. Like I
Okay.
want people to still be able to say, okay, there are 2 babies in this family. And so I was like racking my brains, like, how do I keep her present? Not only for myself, because actually initially when I had lost Mila, I was like, yeah, I'm just gonna keep myself to myself, not speak to other people. I don't want to share this with I don't even want to see other people. But then I don't want her just to be with me. I would have wanted her to show her off to the world, right? So the only thing I could think about was these books, because I remember getting a book for Arinze, and it was called When Arinze Was Born.
Mm,
He's a little black boy. He has an uncommon name. So I thought it's so important to see yourself in the pages of books, right?
mm,
And then it just hit me like I know I won't be able to read a book to Maila, but what about having a book in memory of Maila? And then it feels like I'm sharing that memory with her, and then how many other parents are going to be able to have that as well. And especially personalized books, every skin tone, every hair type, every hair color, because representation matters. And
yeah.
especially loss when Black families are disproportionately at the higher rate. The percentage of Black people in the UK is so low for the numbers of how many of our babies dying to be so high. Like it just doesn't make any sense. I was even looking at this, it's like we're 4% of the population.
Wow.
So yeah, so it was really important to do that. So started off with the books. I connected with this really incredible illustrator from Germany. She
Hmm.
just got it. Like she understood the assignment. She made the pages so colorful, so bright. I wanted it to be children's book because our children will always be children. I wanted it to bring some warmth and color to their existence as well,
Yeah.
because when you experience loss, you're just so focused in the trauma that you forget to see that there were memories there were moments there that you had with your baby that are worth remembering. And so the book is called When I Was in Your Tummy, and
Mm,
it's a short poem about the moments that they spent in our tummy, the moments that now they are outside our tummy, and the signs that they show us, because a lot of parents become quite spiritual after
mm,
experiencing loss. So we'll say things like, the feathers or the butterflies remind me of them. It's a sign from them and stuff like that. Or we
yeah.
have like different animals or what colors that associated to our babies. So that's how it started. And I started the
Mm,
Instagram page. And as I've been connecting with more people, just listening to their experiences, there's just been such a fire in my belly that I started the training courses, right? Humanizing baby bereavement. And I've just finished creating another one on personalizing aftercare. Like, what does that actually mean? What does that look like?
mm.
And that's been great. I think what people often forget, when your baby dies, you still need to care for the mum and the dad as well,
Yeah.
or whoever the partner is, the birthing person and the family unit. You still need to care for them. Like, there's still going to be postpartum physical symptoms, but there's also the mental, emotional, and all of the different things, right, that we go
Yeah,
through.
totally. Hormones, everything.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, we haven't
Yeah.
forgotten. It's like you don't have a baby, it doesn't matter. But just as much as my baby would have been here, there would have been an aftercare plan to see how big she's getting. Is she drinking enough? Is she doing that? There needs to be one for me. There
Yeah,
really does.
absolutely.
And I understand that NHS doesn't always have the mental health support for us, but there are charities out there that do, and they
Mm,
are not connecting the dots. I think it's so lazy to not even connect the dots, to not even to just take a moment and look, okay, so this person has experienced this. What are the things that are connected to them that they might appreciate? And just write in a list of things that they might enjoy in terms, or not enjoy, but benefit in terms of
yeah.
our support. It doesn't take that long, like a 10-minute Google search. Because for us, it's such a burden to have to type onto Google and look for help and
Yeah.
have the guts to get up and go to or call or whatever. Because some of these things you have to call them. It's so many barriers already. So that's the second thing. And then last year in October, I decided to do creative writing workshops. They are free creative writing workshops here in East London, Lee Bridge Library. And it's for parents to come together and just write in memory of our babies, like literally bring our babies into the room. And the last 6 months we were doing, the theme was based on like the different senses. So I shared like a quote, a famous quote, whether it's like about smell, about
Mm,
what you're hearing, what you taste. And then we do different activities on like, if you remember the key tastes from your childhood, what are they like, and how would you have shown this with your child, what would you have want to share with them? And it's really so brilliant. Like it,
mm.
I look forward to it. It's such a I hate saying safe space because I've been learning about, you can't say that it's a safe space. Like people need to feel that it's safe, whether it's safe or not. Like you don't
Yeah.
anyway. But it's honestly such a held space. It really
Yeah.
is. It's healing, even though I don't like saying the word healing. I'll say soothing. It's soothing for myself, and I feel like from what I hear from other people, it also is for them as well. And yeah, it's
Yeah.
great.
Completely. It sounds like writing has been a really like powerful thing for you in terms of processing, connecting, soothing, all of that. And then you mentioned a little bit about the kind of spirituality and the animals or things like that. What are some other ways that you feel like you have kept connected, or what has helped you? What's felt soothing for you to keep connected to Mila?
Oh my gosh, you just opened. Oh, okay. I love this question. Okay.
Okay.
You just taken me back to like the really early days.
Mm,
So I remember when I went home and I was like, there's no way this can't be it. This cannot be.
mm,
I cannot just have a child and that's it. So a friend of mine, she's always been very skeptical about lots of things. Like she's an atheist. I don't know if she is
mm.
anymore, whatever. But her mum and her grandma died very close together. And of course, that just sends you in a spiral. Grief is something that stays with you forever. And
Yeah.
I had never experienced grief in my life. Like I was 28 when my daughter died. I knew I was hitting an age where somebody's probably going to die in my life. I never expected it to be my child. And that kind of loss being so profound, it changes you in so many ways and it sticks with you forever.
Yeah.
So I remember like messaging or calling her and saying, actually, I think I was definitely apologetic for not understanding the depths of grief. And then I asked her, like, how the hell do you do this? And
Mm.
she just said one of the things that helped her was seeing a medium.
Okay.
And I was just like, do you know what? I have absolutely nothing to lose. Let me go see this medium. Went
Yeah.
to see the medium 2 months after Mila had died. This was in February.
Yeah.
And when I tell you, this guy got everything right, that I'm even he got everything right. And listen, I never shared my pregnancy online because of that superstition. Oh, if you're going to share, you forgot what they call it, but the negative eye, what is it? The eye thing, bad
Yeah.
eye. There's
Yeah.
something that. So I never shared my pregnancy. And so when she died, like I literally waited, I couldn't wait till I gave birth to say, oh, I've got a baby. But that never happened. So when
Mm.
she died, I was definitely not going to share. So I
Right.
kept it to myself. And I think I
Wow.
actually shared, I can't remember when I shared it actually, but I kept it to myself pretty much. So he got right that I had a baby who died. She was 8 months in terms of gestation. There was a high blood pressure. Her lungs, like she couldn't, of course, because my placenta detached, so obviously she wasn't getting any oxygen. So he was
Yeah.
saying her lungs had collapsed essentially, like they weren't getting any. Well, he said something specific about the lungs giving
Yeah.
up. He said that her name started with an M. He said that my partner chose her name. He said that she died on the 29th. But, oh gosh. And then he said, but I have to tell you, she was alive on the 28th. And that was something that was nagging at me. I'm so glad
Oh,
that he was
wow.
nagging at me. Was she dead on the 28th? And I didn't know. And then he's like, I just have to tell you, she was alive on the 28th. Like, this sounds so, me saying this sounds so sounds so bizarre, but it actually is. Can't
Yeah.
believe it. And I think the thing that shook me the most was when he said, you have a sister. And I was like, I do not have a sister. I've only got a brother. And then it's
Mm.
like, yes, you've got a sister, but your relationship isn't so close with your sister. And I was thinking, what are you talking about? And the reason why your relationship isn't so close with your sister is because your mom had a miscarriage and your sister is 21. And Frankie, I was 7 years old, and I'll never forget it. I was 7 years old. We were living in Portugal, and my mum did indeed have a miscarriage.
Oh,
And I was
wow.
8 when I did this reading, so she would have been 21. And that's when it hit me. And he said to me, "From the moment that we are conceived, we are a soul." And so I was just like, "Listen, I believe this. I believe it."
Yeah.
I ended up doing a spiritism course for like 6 months, literally
Okay.
every Saturday, just listening to these people talking about spirituality. And it was so brilliant. And it was the
Yeah.
only place that I found that I could speak about death where people
Yeah.
wouldn't. like, oh my gosh, you're speaking about your dead baby again. Like, it was literally people from, they were in America, they were in Brazil. It was just like so many different groups of people. I'm so grateful for them. They literally saved me.
Mm,
And yeah, I fully believe it. I believe
yeah.
it.
Yeah,
There's the
completely. And I think you said something important there, because I think that in that kind of community, maybe there's something there about an acceptance of talking about death in a way
Mm,
that isn't scary, and it is open, and any kind of belief within that is whatever feels soothing, whatever feels real to you, I guess, within that space is accepted. And I guess what happens within our the narratives that kind of happen are you over that yet, or you get a certain amount of time to grieve, or it's like uncomfortable, or someone puts a silver lining around it. So I can totally understand why you would gravitate towards those spaces where it feels okay to be able to talk
mm,
openly and listen and hear other people's stories in that kind of way as well. But
absolutely.
that's incredible that he it's another level of understanding that we don't have in
Yeah.
terms of that spirituality kind of stuff. But so it felt like there's an excitement as you're talking about it. There's like a what did it do for you when you heard him saying those things?
So, you know how people often love to talk about, oh, there's hope after loss, blah, blah,
Yeah,
blah. It gave me that hope, but not, I feel like a lot of the times people talk about hope in, oh, you can have another baby. That's where the hope
right.
is. But for me, it's that hope of like, I can continue to parent my daughter. I can continue to connect with her. I can continue to find her in different ways. I can look for her. I can speak to her.
Mm,
It's normal. It's okay to do that. She's a part of my life. Technically, like she's like an ancestor in reverse. So I
okay.
can speak to her about my day and I feel like this or I feel like that. Or I often say like, Milo, where did I put my keys or whatever? It's just normalizing the fact that this is somebody who was in my life and who made me the person that I am today, and I should honor her.
Yeah.
Why not?
Oh,
I wouldn't be
absolutely.
me without her,
Yeah. Yeah.
or the me
Completely.
that I am today, anyway. Yeah.
Yeah. And you also said earlier about the fact that it changed you in such a
Mm,
huge way. How do you
mm.
feel like it changed you?
Oh my gosh. Okay. So, you know, when you have a child and you become very possessive and
Yeah.
not, no, I don't think possessive is the right word, protective, right?
Yeah.
Like that mother bear I'm going to look after. And I think that's how I became for myself. I will no longer stand for bullshit. I'll
Right.
speak up. Me too. I think it definitely did that. Obviously, I'm not like that 100% all the
Yeah.
time, but there's definitely less of me being the doormat in moments or taking a step
Mm,
back, wanting to be a people pleaser. I still
hmm.
have that, but it ignited that fire that I need to stand firm, just not take bullshit anymore. Or especially at work, for example. I remember one day when it clicked to me, and it was when one of my colleagues, so I used to be a recruiter,
Hmm.
and somebody was not going into work or something and only told us like, I don't know, a few minutes before.
Hmm.
And my colleague was like, he was on the phone like, huh, what? He dashed his phone across the room and
Mm,
then he took back up again and was like, yeah, sorry, I don't know what happened there or whatever, like that there was a sound issue. And I was thinking to myself, is it really that deep? Is it
mm,
nobody died and you are
yeah.
making such a big fuss over something so minuscule? You won't remember that
Yeah.
tomorrow. I'm sure he doesn't remember it today. And
Yeah.
it's that.
Yeah. It kind of puts things in perspective, doesn't it? And tells you what is important and what's not important
Yeah.
in that. Yeah. Completely. I feel like I could keep going. There's so many things that I just want to talk to you about. But I'm wondering if someone is listening to this, whether they have experienced that bereavement or not, if maybe they're a professional kind of listening to this, but if they to take away like one thing from this conversation, one thing you want to say to them, what would you say?
I think my main thing is always about humanizing
Yeah.
babies. And I always say that, for example, if it's a professional in that moment, they should always see these babies as babies, because that will change the way that they offer the care, even if the parent themselves no longer sees their baby as baby. I'm not saying that the professional has to say it out loud, but they
Mm.
absolutely need to honor that and work like that, because then you are going to be being baby centered and parent centered and offer the most human, loving kind of care you can possibly give. Because from the moment that the professional detaches as well and stops seeing these babies as babies, you would just give such poor care.
Yeah. Completely that. And like when we went back to the detachment side of it, like you can understand why that might creep up, I guess,
Mm,
for people and professionals in that way. But that's why it's so important that they are supported,
yeah,
debriefed
yeah,
within that, to be able to kind of, they experience a loss and then they go into another birth and they don't get time between that.
yeah,
So being able for them to feel held so that they can hold other people is super important.
yeah.
So that's for the professionals, and then for the parents, maybe what would you say? What do you feel is important for them to take away?
Yeah, I think it's always important to go where you are listened to,
Uh-huh.
where your experience is heard. So even if you are not necessarily, even if you're in a space that is necessarily a bereavement space, but is a space that you feel like you found your people that can hear parts of your story,
Mm-hmm.
allow yourself to, especially right in the beginning,
Yeah.
because the people that you surround yourself with right at the beginning can really make or break your trajectory. And there will be so much undoing that you have to do afterwards if you have surrounded yourself with the wrong kind of people who have been saying things that are damaging. Not only now are you having to deal with your grief, but you're having to deal with maybe shame, maybe
Mm.
guilt, because people are maybe saying, oh, you shouldn't have eaten that, or you
Yeah.
shouldn't have been out. Do you know what I mean? Like, you can't, people that make parents feel bad for grieving, yeah, finding a sense of community. And thankfully, there is actually a lot. There are so many things out there, and there
Mm.
are things for specific communities
Mm.
like LGBTQ plus. There's the Legacy of Leo. For the Black community, Ebony Bond Support. For the Muslim community, Muslim Bereavement Support Service. There is just so much out there, and I wish people knew that it
Mm.
exists.
Yeah, completely. We'll put links to everything that you've just said now. If there's any others that you think of that you think would be really helpful for us to include, we'll include it in the show notes below so that people know. And I guess if people want to find you, if people want to talk to you, are you happy with them doing that?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm on Instagram, on TikTok as well, but I kind of haven't been using it because I have no space on my phone. So I have to do TikTok stuff. But it's Maila's Present, Mailas, and then the word present. And I'm also on LinkedIn, Helena Morais.
Okay, lovely. Thank you so much for joining us today. It was so lovely to talk to you, and thank you for everything that you're doing.
Likewise. Thank you so much,
All
friendly.
right, take care.
Bye.
Thank you so much for listening to the NICU Space podcast by Miracle Moon. If this episode resonated with you, please know that support is available and you are always welcome in our community. If you found this episode helpful, one of the best ways to support the podcast is by sharing it, leaving a rating, or subscribing. It helps these conversations reach more NICU parents who really need them. You can also find us on Instagram and across social media at Miracle Moon UK, or explore more resources at miraclemoon.co.uk. Wherever you are in your NICU story, please remember this: you are not alone.